Yeah, thank you. We had come to the end of that section of the program. Yeah, you have to remain standing to give support to the message on behalf of your dad and granddad. Could we have the message on behalf of Professor Peter Katjavivi?
I'll try. Your Excellency, my dear brother and Dr. Nangolo Bumba, the Vice President of the Republic of Namibia, Mrs. Siseski Bumba, our bereaved jointly, our bereaved families, jointly including our dear children, grandchildren, my in-laws from the United Kingdom who have joined us, namely Sarah and Dennis Gonau, Reverend John and Ann Coles, and Helen and Raphael Negret. Our extended families here present and those who have not been able to join us on this occasion. Members of Parliament here present and those who have not been able to make it. For the rest of you here present, let me just refer to you, brothers and sisters and fellow mourners. Our families appreciate that you are here this afternoon, standing side with us during this tragic moment of our sorrow and grief on passing on my dear wife. Dear mourners, as many of you know by now, the tragedy happened while we were making our way home from the UK to Namibia, having transited by Frankfurt. While flying over Angola, I noticed that my dear wife, Jane, who sat next to me, was not responsive as I was attempting to wake her up. At that point, I alerted the airline personnel who helped me to take her out of her seat, lay her on the floor to perform an emergency that was necessary, as you can imagine, at that point. Two medical doctors on board on the airline joined the in-flight airlines staff to try to resuscitate her, but to no avail. One of the doctors informed me that she was not getting oxygen to her brain, and that was a major source of concern, as you can imagine. And they continued to try to revive her. essentially by around, that started just after 5. By 6:40 a.m., the two doctors informed me that there was no hope and she was no more with us. I cannot describe you adequately at that point how I felt. I was numbed, not knowing exactly what to do, what is next, and basically hovering around, hoping for a miracle to occur. From there on, I was given the opportunity to be with her alone, to have a moment of silence, and to gather myself to come to terms with this great loss. It was during this time that I had the opportunity to kneel by her side, to smoothen her hair, trying to basically make her look as I would like to see her. And I, at that stage, took off her wedding rings and her watch while her body was still warm. This is the moment that actually hit me, that it is the end of the road. This is the moment that I could not wish for or imagine, as it reminded me of our vows that, quote and unquote, till death do us part. As we were approaching the airspace, flying over Namibia on the way to Hosea Kutaku International Airport, her body was put back into her original seat next to me. Basically in preparation for landing. Upon our arrival, we were warmly received and her body was transported to the mortuary to the city. The airport personnel, everybody really reached out to us. His Excellency the President, Dr. Hage Geingob, and the First Lady, Mrs. Monica Geingob, were among those people who received us at the airport. This was indeed much needed warm reception during this tragic moment, and it was a source of strength to myself and to the rest of my family. You heard a great deal from what was stated before at the beginning of this memorial service. Jen and I met in London in the 1970s. This was during the time when I was heading the SWAPO office responsible for the UK and Western Europe, essentially lobbying, working for the freedom and independence of our country. Before we became close, we interacted professionally when she was working, as you heard, for the World University Service. This was an organization devoted to offering academic scholarships and assisting students from Southern Africa, including those from Namibia. As time went by, Jane became a member of staff within the London office, and together many other people volunteered for the cause of the liberation of our country, and that was including the Namibia Support Committee, the Anti-Apartheid Movement, and many other institutions that provided solidarity and support for the cause of the liberation of the whole of Southern Africa. Our love grew stronger and we got married as you had in 1981 in Oxford, at the time when I was studying at Oxford University. We were both part of the struggle for freedom and independence of Namibia, and our lives revolve around fighting for justice and self-determination for this beautiful country. We both returned to Namibia in 1989 for a while I continued to partake in our country's transition. Jane returned to our temporary home in the United States to prepare to bring our family back to Namibia, which by then included our young children. You had them, Katjavivi and Isabel. To cut the story short, Jane settled in her second new home, whereupon my family gave her a Chiherero name, Fawana, right in the village in Avitoto, meaning we are united. This emphasized the bond of unity as being a source of strength and courage in any setting. Jane quickly made a mark on the Namibian landscape by setting up, as you heard, a publishing house which focused on promoting literature with the essence of social justice. In this, she produced, as you heard, a number of publications which otherwise would not have been covered, thereby adding value to Namibian heritage and culture. My wife and I have shared our adult life together, crossed valleys, mountains and oceans and seas together, side by side, jointly persevered through challenges and enjoyed blissful, wonderful memories that as a family, always together, working together, and we will forever cherish that experience. My children, as you have heard them, and the whole of them behind me here, to call them one by one. Kabesorere, Wanaingi, Pashi, Perivi, and the last born, Isabel, who have been my greatest source of support and love during this time. And it is very important that they and our grandchildren are behind here partaking in this important memorial service as we bid farewell to my beloved Jane. My dear wife Jane was, as you heard, good-hearted person who truly loved helping others, always reaching out. Among other commitments, she led an active life that involved serving institutions, as you heard, like the University of Namibia, where she set up the UNAM Press, the FNB Foundation that plays an important role, Cheetah Conservation Foundation, and other voluntary institutions throughout the country, and many others beyond the borders of Namibia. She was also a lay minister, as you heard, at St. George's Anglican Church. Indeed, she led a life of passion, determination, selflessness, and faith above all. She was faithful to God and to her family. Therefore, as we mourn Jane's passing, we are also remembering and appreciating her wonderful contribution to our lives beyond our immediate Katjavivi and Cole's families. She has been a pillar in our home, particularly keen to see our children grow into responsible citizens. To me, she was everything, literally everything. With her gentle smile, and whenever she was not happy, I needed not to ask because I could tell from her face. When I returned from work, stressed, particularly from here, and sometimes frustrated, one thing or another, my dear wife was always the person to talk to express my feelings. And she always served as my unwavering counselor and comforter. Her welcoming, gentle, warm smile alone was able to relieve any form of stress. And that was very important. As I get home, enter that house, I used to feel my stress is normally left by the door. Let me also take this opportunity to pay a special tribute to the family of my dear wife Jane, my late father and mother-in-law, John and Ruth Coles, who entrusted me as a total stranger at that time with their daughter. At the time when our own country was not yet independent. This bond was further strengthened between our two families with my in-laws, Brother John, Sister Sarah, Sister Helen, who became part of the extended family, plus the rest of the extended families. It has been a wonderful experience. And it's a source of my strength, and particularly the time before we return back to an independent Namibia. Rosemary Jane, my warm, my beautiful, sweet, dearest wife and life companion, I will cherish you forever. Every wind that blows around our home, in our house, and over my face will always, always signal to me and to our children and grandchildren that you are the never fading candle in the wind, and that you will forever remain around our family. As a living mother, loving mother, you are forever watching over your husband, your children, grandchildren, and great-grandchildren, and the rest of the family. There is no time that you will be forgotten by the rest of us. You continue to be part of my life, and anything I do in life, I will always be reminded of you. May you rest in peace. God bless you all. Thank you.